So I started using my glasses for these videos to look like an intellectual and knowledgeable. And I think I just think about the videos and I think about YouTube. And I think I always had the desire of immortalize knowledge that I have. And I think it really comes down to, I mean, if you can get everything from Wikipedia nowadays or like from the internet, why would anybody follow somebody who's saying something? And I think it's just a human nature to just try to look for a face instead of a script or a website with information, because it just builds. I mean, obviously, like hominids are monkey race. It's a social system, and even the smartest computers, even the human AIs that will come in 10 years or whatever, they will not really try to look for information from a human being. They will definitely look at online. So this is what makes us humans, a connection with another face. So I'm here in Hyde Park. This is a great Sunday. I had this funny story about last night, and I met a guy that I met when I arrived to London, Neil Donny. So this video is basically about canopy mammals. So canopy animals. As you see, there's a canopy, and especially the rainforest has certain species that are not found anywhere else, that are only found in the canopy. And I'm gonna especially talk about the ones that I know the best, which are reptiles, amphibians, and birds. But you can use this video to try to infer about other animals. So there's a lot of plants that are also only found in the canopy. They're specific to the canopy, and I think they have fascinating pollination and dispersal mechanisms. But I have to read more about it. I mean, obviously, their epiphytes and orchids are the most common ones of these ones. But if we look at like reptiles and amphibians and birds, there's also fascinating animals. Like I think the most exciting, and this is why I thought the video. I have a friend who is in the Amazon photographing wildlife, and he showed me a cotinga. So the cotingas are definitely some of those like birdwatcher treat. They're like those birdwatcher treats. Like everybody goes and really, when they go out into the rainforest, they really hope to see a cotinga. And like cotingas like eat a lot of fruit. In the cotinga family, you can find the puffbird and the non-bird genus Monasa. I forgot the genus of the cotinga. I think it's Cotinga ridgewaji, after Ridgway, the famous South American ornithologist. And I think there's a certain excitement of finding something that's way in the top of the canopy, because obviously as human beings, we don't have access to it from the bottom. So if you're able to spot something in the canopy and you know it's an accurate identification, as a bird watcher, you're very excited, especially if it's like a cotinga, an umbrella bird, if it's a what's that called, the sharkbill? Is that, I'm not entirely sure if the sharkbill is like a canopy resident. So so we have those animals, and we have a lot of the harpy eagles, the hawks, and they're also quite fascinating, because they're like the hawk eagles. They're usually found only in the canopy, and they're also actually really hard to find when you're out in the field. Like you find them usually by call. And then you have all these other organisms. You have doves, especially in Australia. Like there's a lot of like canopy doves, and you have definitely some hummingbirds that spend a lot of their life's histories on the canopy. and I want to say and then we have the honey eaters. They're also like canopy residents. All those animals are just very interesting. And then like I guess like when you have a little break into the canopy, then a lot of the species, when you have a gap in the forest and the rainforest, and a lot of the species, basically a lot of the plants usually come down into that place while it's open, and then sometimes we'll have some of the canopy descendant species come down to that place. So gaps are sometimes good places to see canopy animals. And then there's the issue with the productivity. So there's the sun rays that are that are coming down, and as the sun rays come down, then you can find a lot of the cotingas, and you can have a lot of the other birds. I'm trying to think about other interesting facts about the birds that are found in the canopy. I mentioned the cotingas, honey creepers, the honeybirds, the hummingbirds, and then obviously the hawk eagles, such as the harp eagle. There's like 2 or 3 or 4 residents of hawk eagles. There, like actually many like people who have seen the harp eagle, which is, I mean, like Darien and maybe some places in South America are the easiest place to see. Many times we'll spend a lot of their lifetimes looking for other of the hawk eagles that are found in the top of the canopy, and some of them are actually relatively hard to find. So when you find them, this just makes it a huge treat. So there's certain frogs that are restricted to the canopy. For example, and I have to double check a lot of the information that I have, since I haven't thought about this for about 20 years. I believe Anoteca spinosa is one of the species that it's mostly found in really high parts of the canopy. And there's actually a very, very cool frog. It has a distinctive call, and it's one of those frogs that herpetologists spend their lifetime searching for. Then we have there's a lot of arboreal frogs that don't go as high up in the canopy as some of the other ones, but there's actually a species of hylid called picadoi, after Clomito picado. It used to be a hyla picadoi, and this is really restricted to bromeliads, and it's found. It's called picadoi because the guy who studied it is called Clomito picado. He's a famous Costa Rican botanist who studied quite a lot of bromeliads. And then the bromeliads really, if you're up in the canopy, you get like water in a tank type base, and then you hear when you're up in the highland forest, you actually can hear the highland frogs calling from the canopy, which makes it quite interesting. I think La Selva Biological Station is like well known for like people just going there and doing canopy studies, even though it's really hard to get the data that people want, and all the data is just really either qualitative. It's just there's very few observations. People just give up and start studying, I don't know, something like tanagers, something where they get more numbers in order to do a statistical analysis and have empirical evidence for their hypothesis. So there's geckos, I think, that are restricted to the canopy, but I have to double check this information. And there's obviously snakes that hang out quite a lot of time in the canopy, like Ceustes poecilonotus is the bird-eating snake, and it does spend quite a lot of time in the canopy. Corallus, annulated tree boas. I'm not entirely sure the case for Epicrates. Dwarf boas, there's a discussion of their canopy or not. And there's actually a lizard called Celestus cyanocloris. The taxonomy needs to be updated, but when we found this animal up in the canopy, we were so excited to find it, because it's only recorded for the lowlands, and then it was a new update on the Savage book.